Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Dennis Valencia boards the mothership. You know him as the indie king of variant covers. Now he's the creator of the Celestial Knight on Kickstarter. Come on board as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Mr. Valencia. Thank you so much for coming to Versus Stars podcast.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff? Good to see me. Good to be here.
Yes, it's very glad to have you. For those who may not know, you did a cover for me for Terminus, and it was awesome. So you're always welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that's great. Couldn't be happier. Anytime you need this right hand to draw you something, I got you.
All right, you are awesome. So I always start off with a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love of comics, and who your earliest influences?
Unfortunately, and a lot of, if you may know my backstory, I went through a real rough childhood. That rough in the sense that I stayed indoors. I stayed indoors reading comic books. And for me, it was always the battle of good versus evil that kept me from going outside just to stay away from the evil that I was experiencing. So for me, reading comic books was just my escapism. But I really fed on that whole good versus evil. At the time I was reading, the biggest influence for me was X-Men, John Byrne, Chris Claremont X-Men. It was I don't want to say it was kind of a bigotry kind of thing, but that's really what hit me down here in the feels, and that's what I was experiencing outside of my home. So for me, reading that good versus evil, that whole issue of mutants and bigotry, really hit home for me as a young child, and that's kind of where it fostered into my whole, sitting there reading these books, and then I'd sit next to my grandmother and reach over and grab a drawing pad, and then I would start drawing, characters, copying John Byrne's art style, and my favorite character being Wolverine, just trying to draw Wolverine.
Now, for those who may not know you, I will say from my experience, it seems like every good Kickstarter has a Valencia cover attached to it, variant cover from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, for those who don't know, like I said, Dan Price has yours. Like I said, you definitely had mine. There's a tons of, every time I see a Kickstarter, Dennis Valencia cover, variant cover is on. So how did it become like such an essential part of the indie community?
So, I did, my first Kickstarter I did was with Jason Farrow for the Convictor. It wasn't a variant cover, it was actually his cover. So I did his cover, he had his main cover, and, it wasn't a variant thing. And then I really did more pinups for people around the indie community. And then what happened is one of the guys in my group, the Savage Sandbox, his name is Drew Lenhart, Snowy Works. He did one, it was a chromium cover. He asked me if I could do a variant cover. And he phrased it when he did Kickstarter, the Valencia variant. And I was like, oh, I like that. So I said, you know what? I go, Drew, if this thing hits, and I'd ask him, like, have, people backing the Valencia variant? He's like, oh, yeah, it's doing really well. I said, cool. I go, I want to make it a thing this year. I go, I have, a pretty good circle. This is probably year 3 of me being in the community. I said, you know what? I'll put my services out there. Anyone looking for a cover, I'm not here to, drive you poor. I'm not here to hit you with these outrageous fees. Typically, I'm just like, first time out, buy me dinner. Like, treat me to a nice dinner. I don't care if it's a combo, at the local, McDonald's. Treat me to a nice dinner. Real simple. I go, but I want to be a Valencia variant. So boom, that hit as soon as Drew went out. I got one for D. Hosner for Kid Nebula. I did a Valencia variant for him. And then little things here and there. I started doing Valencia variants. I'm so happy that I get the Valencia variant for you. But for me, I really dig it. I love, and you've seen my channel, my page, what I do. I love giving back to the community. Before the Valencia variant, I would just see something on Instagram. I would see someone's cool character I loved. I would follow them and see what they're about, get a feel for them or see their lives. And I would just throw them some fan art because I just liked what they're doing. I think I went 2 weeks straight of doing a pinup for an indie creator every single day of the week for 2 weeks straight. Yeah. And I would call it fan art. Just every day I would just send a random creator fan art. And I literally sat in my bed at night, did one, send it the next day, did one, send the next day. And for me, it was indie supports indie. And I'm not just talking it, I'm backing it up.
Well, like I said, I mean, and you're so easy to work with. Like I said, I was in word of mouth. It's how I met you. At least I think it was on Dan Price was launching with his Bigfoot Knows Karate. Yeah. And I saw you and I was like, crap, I need him on mine now. And I think I bothered Dan, like, Dan, connect me with this guy. Find out how to do it. And I got it. And like I said, you were so easy to work with. And I was like, holy shit, he's awesome. And the cover was amazing. So
thank you.
when you're doing so many different cover for so many different projects, is it difficult to kind of match a style for all these different indie books that you're interested in?
It is. I try, before I do anything, I ask, what are you looking for? What kind of feel do you want for it? My style, what I like to do, might not match up with what you're looking for. And I know I've done variant covers that didn't match the style of what they wanted, but I know at the same time when they ask me for it, they're asking for that style. They want
Hmm.
something gritty or they want something very dynamic. That's what I like to do. So that's why they're asking me to participate. And it might not match their style, but I know that's the lane they want to kind of do. And it's a variant. So that's what they want to do, a variant to what they're normally doing. But yeah, that's a great question. I think I'll give it more thought as I do more. I do have one or two Valencia variants on the docket. I think the hardest thing, to be honest with you, Jeff, is it takes away from my own book.
Hmm.
I'm doing so much for everyone else that, like, even for the Kickstarter, uh, I started the Kickstarter. I was on 22 pages out of 34, 32 pages. Um, and I'm still at 22 because I'm coloring it, but I should be way ahead.
Hmm.
So it's not a bad thing. I know I can catch up. I'm very quick. Team No Sleep. That's what we go by. But I do have so much that I'm dabbling in, supporting other groups, creators. That's usually where I kind of had that pitfall of like, oh man, I can't neglect my own product because I have so many people who are supporting me, who put their money behind me. I got to make sure I give them top-notch quality. But that's probably an opportunity for me, definitely.
Is it hard to say no?
It is. It is hard when they're people I respect. They're individuals I've been following for a long time. I will say this, and those who follow me again know that I'm extremely fast. Um, Typically, and I know for you, yours was a process. And I think because I didn't know you well enough, I think for me when I did it, I wanted to hit the mark, and yours was a very hard piece. There's so many different bits to it. That was a tough one. But typically, they call me Team No Sleep because I usually am extremely fast. And typically, I can do a piece within a night or two. And usually, pencils and inks one night, flats and lighting the next night. And usually, it's done within 2 to 3 days, depending on the deadline. Typically, whenever I get a project, what's the deadline? And I like to be ahead of the deadline
Hmm.
because if there's edits or there's any changes, it'll give me plenty of time. But typically, one of my best traits is that I'm extremely fast.
So the book that you're working on right now is called Celestial
Sure.
Night, and this is
Mhm.
your book, correct? This is your creator-owned book, writer, artist of this book.
Yeah, so I did last year. I had Celestial Knight, the first issue. I was an origin issue. Well, it was the beginning of his origin. Celestial Knight 1. My current book is Celestial Knight 2, Hell on Earth. This guy right here. It continues his origin. Origin to me is always in phases. It's not. I think the one that stands out that I don't relate to is obviously Batman. He had one major event that created who he is. For me, I always believe origins are bits and pieces of your life or many events that lead to you to be either a hero or a villain.
Hmm.
So my series, CK, Celestial Knight 1, came out last year. CK2 is right now, Hell on Earth. And it's a 3-issue arc. So first issue, you get to learn a little bit his background of why he's becoming who he is. Issue 2 extends on that origin story, and issue 3 we wrap it up, and then you kind of understand why he's the character who he is. The whole purpose of him at the end of all this is why is he protecting the planet, and you'll at the end of issue 3 when it finally happens, you'll understand why he's protecting the planet, why he's protecting all these people that he doesn't
Hmm.
know or understand, and a lot of people you don't even like what would motivate you, Jeff, to put on a cape, risk your life every day for people you don't know, much less people you might not even like, who don't even like you. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the basis behind the origin story of like, even if I had powers, why would I put my life at risk
Hmm.
when I have family and friends? And that's what I really want to explore in this issue and his origin.
So the story opens with a discussion of the American dream. So how does
Yep.
this the first issue? So how does this define the protagonist, and is it viewed as attainable or like a dangling carrot?
Um, it's 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 a motivation in the sense that I am a first generation immigrant. I was born in the Philippines. It's actually based on my father. My father, when he moved here, I was actually living in the Philippines as a baby. And it was a picture that I saw growing up. It was a picture of my dad as he landed at JFK, and he has, it was in the 70s. He had a big, the thick turtleneck. He had the jacket. He had those like Elvis glasses.
Mm.
He's coming off the plane and he has the biggest grin on his face because he was coming ahead of the family, and I was a baby with my mom and my siblings in the Philippines, and he was coming to America to start that dream. And that picture stuck with me for the longest time. And seeing them go through all the struggles of trying to get the family established and be successful, and they did. To their credit, they achieved that American dream. Incredibly successful parents. That was the inspiration behind it. So I wanted to, in issue one, was portray that. I think in these times that idea of the American dream is very muddled, and there's so many different nuances to it. But for me, growing up, it was very clear cut. And for me, growing up in it and seeing my parents achieve it, I still hold such a high regard for it,
Mm.
and it's still dear to my heart. And I don't want to ever have it sullied or dirtied, even though I know it can be. I know the times are different, but for me, I just wanted to portray that in my issue, at least to kickstart to his origin, and that's one of the driving forces behind what he does.
So with CK, is
Mhm.
maintaining the idea of that dream the motivation, or is it the people who live or are trying to capture that dream that is his motivation?
Well, it's continuing his father's legacy, and you'll get to see in issue two why. But yeah, that whole legacy of his father coming to lay that foundation for his family, and then when you open that issue, no spoilers to issue one, it begins with that whole idea of the American dream, and then when you turn the page, not that it's not the American dream, but he lives alone. He has no job. He has a dog, his best friend Norman, and he lives in a trailer park. Not exactly what the American dream is, but where does he go from there? How
Mm.
is he going to rise to a different level to chase that American dream and continue his father's legacy? Now, this is the thing: everyone's American dream is different. Is
Mm.
it a picket fence with a Ferrari or a you don't know, but everyone has a different idea of delivery. This is going to be his, and at the end of this arc, you will see that he's continuing that legacy and what his idea of the American dream is. So stay tuned. It'll issue three will really cap it off.
Well, I think a character I really like in the book is Norman, who and,
Yeah.
and I love Norman. So, and according to the story, he's able to communicate with Celestial Knight.
Mhm.
Um, so did what happened change Norman? I mean, did it increase his intelligence or just his ability to communicate?
So that's the thing. So I kind of leave it, at least for issue one, I leave it up to you to decide. And I know what it is, but when he developed his powers, is it really a power that he can know these I don't want to say useless facts, but he's incredibly knows all these strange, odd facts. He's a Cliff Clavin of dogs. Now, is this an actual power that he got, or is it just because he's a dog and he's watched TV his whole, yeah, he's been a little dog, he's growing up just watching TV, and now he can actually speak it, what he's actually learned on TV. And
Mm.
that's why I kind of leave it for now as you go into issue two and three, from issue one, that you'll be like, oh, you start to learn, like, okay, is it a power, or is it just his power is really that he can communicate and he's
Mm.
just speaking about what he's seen on TV as he grew up, as a dog. So but I love the fact that you're hitting on that
Yeah.
and that you don't know yet, which is great. Yeah,
It,
that's awesome.
is he more of a Robin or an Alfred? To
That's great. He was actually supposed to be my Oracle. When I created him, he was going to be my Oracle to my Batman. So in the issue one, you see that a lot more where he's like, this is happening or that, or look out for this. He's being Oracle. Issue two is a different change. So you'll see a different side to Norman. But that's a great question. He's not going to be so much. I will say this, he's not a Robin, that's for sure. Definitely not.
So we're talking about the motivation of Celestial Knight. What motivates Norman to do the right thing? Is it just because he wants to protect his master friend or whatever? Or is there I mean, they do dogs have an American dream? Yes, this is the question as well.
Dude, Jim, that's a great question. So one of the main underlying themes to this, it's I hope people understand this, and this is something I was raised on, is unconditional love.
Mm.
Uh, the underlying theme to this it's revealed in issue one very subtly. Issue two, you'll see it a little again theme of it there. And issue three, it's kind of dug home of what that unconditional love is. It defines their relationship together, what they're about, why he does and why he sticks with with Jeremy throughout the whole journey and why he's his oracle. But it's this theme that I've always contemplated, even as a young child, of like, not even when I had, and I've always grown up with dogs, but it wasn't even associated. It was a more religious idea of the ideology of unconditional love. I didn't
Mm.
understand it growing up. And as you know, you have dogs, and it kind of just for me, I was able to actually put that in kind of like a ball of like younger. I didn't understand what unconditional love is. I didn't like, I got it, like I understood a technical term, but understanding it every day, it kind of just didn't register. Maybe because you're a child or you're so like selfish in your own little world. But as an adult now, when I see just the simplest thing coming home and like, a dog is jumping up and down and you literally just walked out of the house for like 10 minutes, you come home, they're so excited you're back. And it's something that's so pure and so real. It was something I just really like wanted to explore. And it's the underlying basis of the relationship.
So when you say unconditional love, and once again,
Mhm.
I assume it's Jeremy, does unconditional love extend to neighbors and country?
It does, and it will at the end of this arc. Once you complete the arc of his origin, then you'll understand why Jeremy is the protector of the earth, and actually more, and why he's putting his life on the line. Because again, that underlying theme, and it goes more into even the basis of his origins, of the basis of his powers, and why he has his powers. It is that underlying theme of unconditional love. But
Hmm.
you're right on with that, bro.
So you also discussed the armor as being sentient, or he asked
Mhm.
the question, is it sentient? So how true is the description of the armor being sentient? And if it is sentient, what motivates it?
So if anything, it's what in issue 2 you'll get more of a reveal of what it's about. If when we see in the Kickstarter, you're gonna see and I explain it. There's you're gonna see meet 3 of his rogues gallery. There's 3 of his villains. They're from the circles of hell, and if you know Dante's Inferno, there's 9 circles of hell.
Yep.
Where does he fall in that array of 9 circles of hell? You're gonna find out. Yes, it is sentient, and one of the reasons I wanted to do it sentient is that there's a reason behind it, a link to the circles of hell, but also because artistically, I want to be able to change it to the situation he's in.
Mm.
So depending on the battle, I want to be able to. I like the idea of evolving, leveling up depending on the threat that he's facing. So for me, it keeps it fresh. It'll still have the trademark, the way his cape is, his gold armor, his insignia on his eye. That insignia has a significance. His helmet may change a little bit. His cowl may change a little bit, but it'll all go according to the battle he's fighting. And then he's still learning about his armor. I mean, it's only issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. As he goes on, you start to see more of evolution of it. And as he gets more confident, he gets to know the powers, then you'll see the armor start to evolve. And that's the exciting stuff. I can't wait to do as the series gets bigger, as they go from not just a 1 to 3 issue arc, but as they go into spin-offs. And I already have
Mm.
a spin-off planned. I already have a crossover planned with another creator, where I get to really flex some cool muscles again as it evolves into different situations he encounters. So pretty cool.
So because it does connect to circles of hell, does the objectives of the armor always match the objective of the user?
Um, yes and no. I guess part of his origin, I don't want to spoil it for everyone now, but there was a reason why he is armored. And it goes to that objective. I guess the reason, the whole dichotomy of it is, it's not that it's being used for that purpose, put it that way.
Mm.
His villains, their armor is being used for their purpose. His The intent is not what it's being used for now. And that's where that big clash comes in with his rogues gallery and with those 9 circles of hell. So
And I
I don't
think
want
it's
to spoil it, but that's
no,
great.
no, don't worry, you don't have to. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's cool that you said his armor can change based on the situation. So, are you able to discuss like, what are like the limitations of the armor?
Well, I mean, if anything, he's like I said, he's still learning. And one of the things I always wanted to explore was, just because you have powers doesn't mean you're an amazing fighter. I've seen so many like you get powers and suddenly like they're beating up the world. Like
Yeah.
that's not right. Like that doesn't work. That just because I put a gold suit of armor and he can shoot blasts out and fly around doesn't mean he can fight very well. So he's still
Hmm.
learning. He'll start learning the capability of his powers. Um, there are more powers to be revealed, and just from some of my promo pieces, you've been able to see he has a sword. He's a knight, so he's going to have weapons. Does he know how to use them? Does he know how to form them? No. So again, these different progressions of his power. Um, those are the limitations. It's not like Green Lantern where he's limited by his imagination, but there's a learning curve to all this. It shouldn't be like I have powers and it's automatic. That's one of the things that always bothered me when it came to powers. I know if I got powers, whatever they were, it's not going to be I'm jumping out the window and saving the world. It's just not. It's just and I want to ground it in reality, but I really think there has to be some kind of like realistic expectations to a hero. It
Mm.
can't just be I put on spandex. I'm risking my life for people I have no idea, don't even know who they are, much less do I care about them for all I know, depending on my upbringing. Plus having powers and how am I just suddenly, using them, comfortable with them, it's something that always bothered me, and I wanted to explore that in my character.
And and I like that he's the threats that he's fighting already, considering he doesn't know quite what he's doing. He's
Yeah,
on a hell of a learning curve right now, isn't he?
yeah. Well, you learn by trial by fire, and that's how you learn.
Well, like I said, in the first issue, he's fighting this really massive looking monster.
Yeah.
You think he could start little small with like a shoplifter, maybe?
Well, yeah. Well, again, so in issue 3, you'll learn why there's a kaiju stomping through, Times Square. Why there are other kaiju's amongst, the planet coming out of, the oceans and the mountains, and it's starting to erupt. And then you'll start to connect the dots of like, okay, this wasn't just like there's a monster popping up, and now they're starting to see the causality and the links between the characters and all those, events that are happening.
So as the writer and the artist,
Mhm.
I mean, as someone was saying, you're a fantastic artist, and also you
Thank
have
you.
these great visuals. Does it ever get in the way of writing, as far as thinking to yourself, I got this great visual I want to do, now I got to figure out how to write me to get there, or is it always just in service of the writing itself?
Yeah, it's I was always so in my group, and the Seven Sandbox. Right now, we're 7 creators. I'm the last of the 7 to cut my book, to release a book. Tentative because I knew my strength is my art.
Mm.
Um, Writing is a learning curve, and I'm still learning. I'm not going to kid myself. It's very humbling. It's incredibly hard. I got myself a top-notch editor to keep me on track and correct all those mistakes I'm making. She's a pro's pro. Without her, my book would probably be, a tenth of what it is right now. I'm incredibly proud of it. But for me, I approached it that way. Like I knew what my strengths are. So I'm the Marvel method. I drew the whole book out, 36 pages done. Once I had it drawn out as to my vision, I went back, went through each panel and page and started forming my story, plotting chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Once I had that, sent it to my editor. She gave me her ideas. Then I start scripting. Once I start scripting, send it back to her. We cut it up. But I'm old school, Marvel method. You draw it first, what you envision. And then once it's done, then I can get kind of everything that's in here on a piece of paper.
Mm.
And then from there, we do plots by, plot by chapter, plot by, scene. And then we start dissecting into dialogue and scripting and then to the final product.
Well, I would say what I notice about the inside front cover of your comic book is that the editor is very prominent in the credits. And that's
Yes.
usually normally in credits, the editor and the letter seems to get hidden in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
credits, but in this one it's very prominent. And I was wondering,
Mm-hmm.
it was that because of the role the editor played in the completion of the comic book.
Yeah, and I'll just use those two since you named them. First of all, the letterer, Christopher Michael, who you know very well for Homebrew Comics, he's a powerhouse. Like for me, he's indie comics. I always joke with him. I say he's the hardest working man in indie comics. Um, he is the reason for so many books that are out right now. And I know he will shy away from the attention, but just in the Savage Sandbox alone, he is such a driving force behind it that not giving him his due, even, you might say he's a letterer. No, he's more than a letterer, especially for me, what he's, our partnership in the Savage Sandbox, like partnership in Celestial Knight, partnership in his projects. He is so instrumental in my growth as an indie creator. So for him, he's on my level of, so I drew it, I wrote it, I inked it, colored it, you name it. He's a letterer, and to me, he's right up there with me. My editor, without her, that story wouldn't exist. And I got so many good reviews. All those good reviews I give to her. And every time I got a good one, I said, this person loved it. It's high five from me and you, because this is not just my story. Without her, it would have just been, a cute story. Without her, the technical aspects of it wouldn't exist.
Mm.
I always tell everyone, they say, if you could tell any, indie creator, give them advice. My first bit of advice, get an editor. Get someone. One of the things me and her, we don't agree. Like when we watch Marvel movies, Jeff, we don't agree. Like she'll love it, and I'll be like, I hate it, or and I was like, I love it. She hated. I loved Civil War. She hated it. I'm like, how do you not like Civil War? I love Civil War. She hated it. I'm like, it's crazy. But I think it worked because you get someone's different opinion and a different view, and whether you agree or not, that's the whole point. Like you definitely see a different point of view, and then you either take it or you don't. And she'd always be very fair. She'd say, like at the end of the day, it's your book, but I'm giving you my opinion. If it's a different lane, we could always go down that lane, or you can take some of that lane and put in it. And more times than not, there's one bit in the comic where I had a scene and I put it in there and I thought it was money. I was like, this is gonna kill this one little panel. It's gonna kill. I was so excited about it. She read it, she hated it. Hated it. She goes, you gotta get that out. I said, no, that's killer. And she goes, I'm gonna tell you why. And she told me why. And I go, you're right. You're 100% right. And I would never have thought it because I thought it was such a, killer panel. And I scrapped it. And it hurt scrapping it. It hurt putting my ego aside, but she was right on the money. And I always tell everyone, get an editor, not that they're always going to be right, but just to get a different opinion and a different point of view. It could only make your project better.
So, like, going back to the cage, which once again they look freaking awesome. The visuals in this book are absolutely fucking stunning. So, no, it's just the truth. So, how do you balance detail against production time?
Well, like I said, it worked fast. I do go back a lot, so I'll do my drawing process. I do pencils, I'll do inks. From there, you do your flats, and then I'll do my lighting effects. Once it's done, I print them. As soon as I print it, I can kind of get a better gauge of what it looks like on paper. And I printed my 11 by 17s. And then once I see it, I'll go back again and redo it again. And that's when I start doing more detail, or I'll see things that are flat, or I'll add more background here and there. It is tough. You're right. That production time. This time, I really wanted the book to come out faster than when I projected. I projected September. I really wanted it to be out a lot faster than that. I want to beat that time. And that was because I was already 22 pages deep. It's definitely something I work on as a creator. I think we all are. It's not a science, especially, it's not like we do this for a living. I don't. I have my normal job. I have, a family that I need to spend time with. I have responsibilities as a husband and father. So for me, it's being economical with my time. I draw probably from 10 o'clock to 1 in the morning when my wife is sleeping and my kids are asleep. And in there somewhere, I'm trying to find time to do a panel. Sometimes I just say, I'm doing a panel tonight, or I'm doing one promo piece tonight. And at least I know I'm being productive with my time. And I don't have a lot of time, but that time is being sure very economical from like 10 to 1. That's where Team No Sleep came from, where I can get that time to get something done. And the next day you see that product real fast.
So issue 2, like I said, is now active on Kickstarter. It's already reached its goal, so congratulations, you're killing it.
Thank you.
I think it's already twice this goal, isn't it?
It's 180%. So it's what is it? I was 1,200. I'm at 2,200. So I'm up by 1,000.
So almost double. You almost doubled your goal. So congratulations on that. So when is the issue 2 expected to? You said September.
September was the latest, but like I said, I'm cranking through it. The reward tiers are awesome. The first one we hit the stretch goal is trading cards. My first campaign, I had trading cards and everyone loved it. I did 9, so I was able to put it on a sheet. Same thing. We hit our first stretch goal, 9 different creators from the indie community. Again, I preach it. I want to practice it. I have 9. First campaign was 9 different creators and different pieces of CK on trading cards. You can give the sheet to someone. You see 9 different cards by 9 different creators with their bio on the back. You get to know those creators. Same thing for this campaign, the stretch goal. You get 9 different cards with 9 different drawings by 9 different creators. All on the back are those creators with their handles, and you get to learn about those creators. Someone who gets mine book will get those cards, and they can look at the cool art. They can turn the card around and see about that artist, that creator, and then go follow them on Instagram. We'll get their book. And that's my way of giving back to the indie community. I think it's cool. 9 different ones for CK1, CK2, gonna have 9 different creators for that. And then when CK3 hits, more people in the community, I'll commission and pay them to get, them to do my cards. I just think it's a really cool way to give back to the community and to get more exposure to those creators out there who are going through the grind like I am,
So for someone who, once again, is killing it on Kickstarter, and those of us like me who are trying to kill it on Kickstarter one of these days,
you're great.
So what advice can you give those of us who are in the trenches trying to kill it on Kickstarter?
It's not rely on your resources. So I have multiple people who have had successful Kickstarters. Chris at Homebrew, he's what fifth or sixth campaign. He's killed
Yeah.
it every single. Dan Price crushed it, monster at it. Use your resources. Ask them, what did you do? How are you doing it? They have so many tips. They're great guys. They're willing to share their knowledge. Do lives. Lives are awesome. And whether you're doing a show or whether you're just doing your own live, I do my own lives. I just get on and I bloviate and I talk about my character. Some of the greatest creators I met, just because I turn on a live, I see them up there and I go, "Whoa, what's it talking about?" And they're talking about the character, and you see their passion, and you see this creation they've been doing, and you're like, "That's awesome! Like that's a cool character. Look at the passion of that creator." Do the lives, like get out there, get outside your comfort box. It's not just you and a pad and a pencil or a book or a script. Put yourself out there. It's okay. Like there's other people who will support you. I do it. Other people jump in my chat. They support me. They share my story. We'll do the same for you. Create that base. The other thing is, put the ego at the door. Leave your ego at the door. It's a learning process. It's not overnight. I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm in like the neophyte stage. It's going to take a long time to get there. So Kickstarter, it's that platform is not easy, dude.
No,
You can
it's not easy
no,
whatsoever.
it is not user friendly. I can't even tell you. Like I've seen so many Kickstarters go, haywire. So use your resources, put your ego at the door, learn from them, take their advice, do all the promo you can do, whether it's asking other people to promote for you, lives, stories, whatever you can do. I always say, like for this one, empty the clip, empty the clip. Uh, the numbers will come. At least for me, it's not about the money. For me, this campaign is about backers. I want to get my story out there. So those three things I would tell you, check those boxes. Check those boxes.
I agree 100%. And I would say, like I said, as you said, being humble, be humble, know what you suck at. Like one thing I know I'm bad at is designing.
Okay.
So Chris Michael, Homebrewed, set up my Kickstarter for me. And I was like, that worked. I mean, it looked way better than anything I was gonna put together. No, I guess know what you can do and know who can.
You're 100% right. And again, he's really good at it. And you could see on his campaigns, so tight. Like the presentation looks so professional. I know mine, and I told him when I did my first campaign, I go, look, the amateur, and I know I improved for campaign 2. Is it Chris Michael level? No, but I know I leveled up on mine. But yeah, you're right on, dude. Use those resources, those connections you have. It can only help you,
Yeah. So what are the dates of the Kickstarter?
What part? You mean when it's ending?
When is it ending?
It's ending so 7 days from today, so it should be the 18th of May. And then as soon as it's over, I still got so much to promote. Just the stretch goals. There's another one I have in the works right now. Then I'm probably releasing that if we can hit that stretch goal. That's 2,500 or possibly 75 backers. Either one will unlock the next stretch goal. I'm going to release actually 2 videos this week on the next stretch goal, see if we can get there. But yeah, the 18th, 7 days to go. I just want to end strong. I'm glad that we funded because that money goes right towards my talent. So it's going towards my variant cover artist, my variant colorist. It's going towards my letterer and going towards my editor. And the only other money that's left over goes to 2 things: the book, obviously packaging, and anytime I hit a con, they will go towards those books for the con. None of it goes in my pocket. I was actually lucky that my first campaign did so well. I still have funds from that campaign that I still use to this day to supplement my campaign. So I'm in a good place. I'm in a lucky space, but I tell everyone, all these funds aren't going to me. It's going to paying my talent. I'm a big believer in paying your talent. I've seen too many people burned, that's not how you build relationships. So I'm happy it's already funded because I know I can pay my team.
I agree with 100%. Like on my project, almost all of it went to paying the artist, and then I think it was whatever it was artist, and then his printing, and then I think what I said because he was helping with the Kickstarter and promoting himself. I think it was after I hit the goal, whatever we made over the goal, we split.
Yeah.
And so wherever, so that day, gets a little extra for thank you, the tip for helping me out for promoting, because a
Mhm.
lot of artists don't promote their comic book of the writer.
Yeah.
They kind of like take the money and they go, okay, thank you, and they move on to the next project. Those who do,
Yeah.
give them a tip, give them, and then obviously printing cost is the next major expenditure, which let's face it, it's expensive.
Yeah. No, that's incredibly fair, Joe. That's incredibly fair.
So I just want to, Mr. Valencia, thank you so much for talking to me about Sledge Night. And like I said, when it's ready for the third issue, you come back and talk about that.
Yeah. And you need anything, I got you. You know that.
I,
Don't
I,
be
I,
afraid.
oh, I will definitely go into you.
Yeah.
You're going to hear from me probably way too often. So,
Just Valencia variant, the VV. I got you, brother. All right. Thank you.